Hi everyone, welcome back to CSharpCorner live show. I'm your host Stephen Simon, and I am back with another episode of CSharpCorner MVP show, one of the many shows that we do at C Sharp Live. And personally, this is one of my very favorite live show that I get to host, where I get to host the C Sharp Corner MVPs, the community leaders who spend their time beyond 9 to 5 to help the community. It may be writing through articles, blogs, forums, videos, or maybe through live shows and sessions. Really exciting show that I like to host, and one of my favorite show, as I said. And a quick announcement before I go ahead and invite our guests is the different live shows that we do at C Sharp Live. That is on Monday. So first thing first, all our live shows stream at 10 a.m. Eastern. That's fixed. It may change, or like summertime or daylight something, but 10 a.m. Eastern, that's a standard time. And sometimes it is like 7:30 Indian time or 8:30 Indian time, but that's how it is fixed. 10 a.m. Eastern, all C Sharp Corner live show. Mark that word. On Monday, we have Azure AI Show. That's both hosted by me, and I deliver content over there, where we talk about the entire offerings of Azure in the field of AI and ML ecosystem, the Azure Open Datasets, Azure Auto ML, Azure Machine Learning Designer, cognitive services, and a lot more. And Hi Deepak, welcome to the live show. Everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Today we're going to talk about Microsoft 365. That's a pretty interesting topic. We're going to bring the guest in some time. But before we do that, on Tuesdays we have Product Showcase or Coffee with Pros. A product showcase is a show where we talk about a particular product. For instance, there's a particular product. It may be MongoDB or a product. We bring engineers and evangelists from the company, or CEOs, CTOs, and talk about particular product. And if not product showcase, then on that day we have Coffee with Pros. It's a chit chat show where just like an MVP show, but we don't have any presentations. You can bring your coffee, and we just do chit chat about what's happening in the IT field. So that's a cool show to tune in. Then on Wednesday we do C Sharp Corner MVP show, as this is the one that you're watching now. Then on Thursdays we do Ask Me Anything shows. But one thing that's pretty interesting, that on Thursdays these days we also have a bit of AI show. It's a very new show that streams on C Sharp Live, Learn TV, and on many different platforms. It's hosted by Hank and Amy. They are Microsoft Cloud advocates, and every week they interview some of people working in the field of AI and data science, and talk about what projects they are working, how things are taking place in the field of data science. So pretty interesting show. It's very exclusively available on C Sharp Corner too, apart from other Learn TV. So you definitely want to go ahead and check it out, that live show. And we also have AI 42 shows. That's another live show that streams bi-weekly every Wednesday at around 9:30. Today it's gonna stream at 9:30 p.m. Indian time, and they're gonna talk about T-SQL for data science. Very interesting two new shows that we have coming from AI MVPs and Microsoft London and Netherlands maybe. Apart from that, on Fridays we have growth mindset shows. Well, I think the time has changed. It is now Fridays 12 noon, so I gotta update it. Let me update it quickly. Yep, that's it. Okay, so that's it. On growth mindset show, it's Mahesh who talks about your career, jobs, on how you can build better softwares. And now it's actually gonna change. I mean, they're gonna name it to season 2, and it will be called Success Mindset Show. So that's pretty interesting to see on what new content they're bringing. And another very interesting show, that's by David McCarter. He is on episode number 18, where he brings people from .NET ecosystem and interviews every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific. Remember, this is 10 a.m. Pacific, but not 10 a.m. Eastern. He has hosted some also great guests like Scott Hunter, Matt Stodgerson, Kindera Heavens, Kathleen Dollard, and Mark Brown from Azure Cosmos DB. Recently, we had, I think, the guy who leads the C Sharp compiler program at Microsoft. So pretty interesting and a really nice show. You want to tune in on Saturdays in the afternoon or morning to see what's happening new in the field of C Sharp and .NET. Apart from that, on alternate day, alternate week, we do virtual conferences too. We recently wrapped Growth Mindset conference. Before we wrapped our platform virtual conference, it was a 5 days of virtual conference featuring 40 plus speakers and reaching 45,000 plus viewers. That was a great conference. And before that, we did full stack and SQL virtual conference. We have been doing a lot of conferences too. And everything that you see or hear about C Sharp Corner Live, it is actually available on csharpcorner.com/live, or the short URL that is csharp.live. Having said that, I think this is the longest time that I've ever taken. I think I'm explaining a lot with the live shows. So today, for today's episode, I'm really excited, because today I'm going to host Nilesh Shah. I hope I said Nilesh Shah. Okay, so he is actually based out of Toronto, Canada. We're going to talk about how's the snow in Canada, because that's very important to talk. Nilesh has been an active community member for a really, really long time. I'm really honored to go ahead and host it today, because I believe I've not had the opportunity to meet him in person. He is someone many community folks look up to him, and he has inspired many people. And I'm just looking at his profile on C Sharp Corner. He ranks at 10. That's incredible, right? That's really incredible. So thank you everyone who's joining us again. Hi Deepak once again. So without any further ado, I'm gonna bring our guest today. So all right, let me bring 1, 2, 3. Hi Nilesh, welcome to the
Hey,
live show.
hey, Stephen. Thanks for hosting me today.
I'm really sorry for keeping you a long wait behind the
That's
scenes.
fine.
So, Nilesh, how are things? You're joining us from Canada, a beautiful country. How are things at your place? How's COVID, and how's life going on actually?
Yeah. So in Canada, like we may have just finished winter, and
Mm-hmm.
the snow is over. Thankfully, it was not so much cold and not so much snow this year. But yeah, we are into spring now, and the weather outside is good. You can go for a like walk outside, and yeah, it's enjoyable. Canada is most enjoyable in spring and summer times. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, in winter, it's like uh, half a foot of snow is common here. So that's uh, that's about Canada. And COVID situation is uh, COVID situation is like the vaccine rollout has started here, but
Mm-hmm.
still there are some precautions being taken. If you go outside, you have to wear mask, and only essential stores are open, and yeah, everything else is closed down. So that's about COVID. Hopefully, like within next few months, everything around summertime, everything calms down, and we are back on track.
Yeah, definitely. And Nilesh, I'm not sure how much you're updated about the status here in India, but surprisingly, the COVID cases have started really rising in the Asia Pacific. I don't know for what reasons, but we are going back to lockdown once again, just like Europe. So
Yeah.
things are not looking good here in Asia Pacific, but we hope things go well. Apart from that, Nilesh, I see you are a really great community leader. Apart from C Sharp, you're also Microsoft MVP, right? And how long you have been Microsoft MVP actually?
I have been MVP since 2018, so I'm
Okay.
3 times Microsoft MVP. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I moved to Canada here in 2016, so it has been like 5 years here in Canada. And
Mm-hmm.
once I moved here, I started attending community events and started speaking at events and everything. And yeah, when like before COVID lockdown situation, there is Microsoft Canada office in Toronto, in
Mm-hmm.
Mississauga, and there is also Microsoft Reactor in Toronto. So I used to
Mm-hmm.
go there and host the events over there. I hosted many events over there, but ever since lockdown, it's like moved to Microsoft Teams online events only.
Yeah.
So uh, I also host the Office 365 bootcamp, or rather now it's a Microsoft 365 bootcamp. So it is the full day hands-on bootcamp for developers, uh, hosted once a year. And I have been part of the organizing committee and hosting it since 2018.
Wow, that's great. I mean, you moved to Canada and you've just got yourself involved in the community in that region. And when in relation, when you say that you are doing so much for the community, right? You organize events, you also have to travel on weekends to reach the venue. You have to prepare the content. So for people who actually don't know about Microsoft MVP, it may sound like that. Hey, you are kind of working for Microsoft as an evangelist, right? It does kind of look right. So for people who do not understand what a Microsoft MVP or an MVP journal is, can you just go ahead and give a brief idea on who MVPs are and how you can actually become a MVP, maybe Microsoft C Sharp or any other community?
So there's a common misconception or misunderstanding about MVPs, that people
Mhm.
think that MVPs are like employed with Microsoft, right? But that's not the case. And I would say Microsoft MVP is a person who contributes to a community specific or related to Microsoft technologies, and the sharing or the contributions are free. It's not for against any payment or fees. All the events we
Mhm.
host are free and everything. And there are apart from like hosting my own events, like I am doing the technical presentation and I am doing technical sessions, there are other Microsoft events also I participate in. If there is a hackathon or everything, I go there and represent Microsoft as a supporting member or as a judge of the hackathon or like that. I host Microsoft events. If other MVPs are hosting Microsoft events, I go there and just it may be another area, let's say Azure AI
Mhm.
or Power Platform or something. I'm not a speaker there. I'm not doing any presentation, but I go there and I do volunteering. I help into like check-in of the attendees. I help with like setting up the lunch packets and everything. So that's what I do, and I like being part of community, and I like to go at the events. So if there is some event being hosted at Microsoft in Toronto, then you will find me there.
We would love to see you here in India too, Nilesh. I think we would love to have you back here in India. I know you're very active there. And Nilesh, when you say that you help in organizing events and all that, right? It's all coming out of your interest. You want to go ahead and give back to the community because at the end of the day, whatever we are today, it is because someone has shared his or her knowledge with us. It may be our parents, it may be our teachers, it may be through books, videos, or any way, right? So that's really fantastic. And when I think about MVP specifically for Nilesh for the Microsoft MVP, in the recent past, to become a Microsoft MVP, some of the things have changed. For instance, first you could go ahead and just apply or nominate yourself, right? But now it has someone needs to apply. So what actually kind of has changed, and what is the roadmap to become a Microsoft MVP? Is it a chase that one needs to do, or is it something that should come obviously, or what's with this actual roadmap?
So the process has been changed like little bit. Earlier, uh, one can go and apply for the MVP by themselves, thinking that they
Mhm.
are eligible for it. But now, like one of the existing MVP has to recommend, so it's through a recommendation process. So there are other people also. They reach out to me over LinkedIn or Twitter, and they say, "Okay, can you recommend me?" So I
Mhm.
look at their contribution. The first question I ask them is, "What is your contribution?" And when you apply for like Microsoft MVP, your contribution from the exactly last 1 year are taken into consideration. So let's say
Okay.
if someone says I have authored a book, but it was like 3 years ago, or someone says that I was speaking at events, but it was like writing blogs, but it was like years ago, then that is not like applicable. What we see or what Microsoft sees is like your most recent contributions, and those
Mhm.
should be around like Microsoft. If you go to the Microsoft MVP contribution area page, then there are different areas Microsoft has listed down, and your
Mhm.
contribution should be around those areas. So if someone says that I am contributing today in C Sharp, tomorrow I'm contributing in Power BI, day after I'm contributing some other technologies, that's not going to help, right? You may be
Okay.
out of your interest, you may be contributing in different areas, but you should be like an expert, or you should be a person who other can look up to for some help or some contribution for one particular area. So let's say if you consider that I also write on C Sharp, I also write on other technologies, but my main contribution is concentrated around Microsoft 365. So that is my award category. So there is something called an award category. So that
Mhm.
is about the Microsoft MVP, and it should be connected, or it should be like how you are better with presenting Microsoft technologies. It There are development technologies which are Node.js and everything included, but apart from that, like it is specific to one or another Microsoft technology. And the reason why Microsoft may have introduced, like someone can recommend it, is like uh, it has to, like it's a waiting process, right? If someone comes to me and says that I want to be Microsoft MVP, so I'll say, okay, let's have a call. Let's go through what you have done for the community. Let's go through what are your technical contributions and everything. And at the very first level, I'll decide at my level that whether this is the person I am comfortable with recommending him or not, right? So
Mhm.
then only the process goes ahead, and once an MVP like myself recommends someone else, then Microsoft considered, yes, this is like coming through an MVP, so this person
Mhm.
must have like uh, the the person must be fulfilling the requirements to be part of an MVP. And I would not suggest someone should be chasing it. It should come, it should be coming automatically. Like
Mhm.
I did not start as like being with the idea or with the aim in mind to like be a Microsoft MVP. Like when I started,
Mhm.
it was just like I enjoyed speaking, I enjoyed going to events and everything, and then I just started. I was traveling to different cities. I've been to spoken in different cities like Regina, Calgary. I have gone to Los Angeles as well once,
Wow.
and Ottawa. So I used to go there and speak in a like not recently but earlier in days. And yeah, that's what I like to do. So if you like sharing technology is your passion, like contributing for community is your passion, then like you should be like trying for Microsoft MVP, or in some cases, like some other, like I also see some people on LinkedIn, and uh, uh, they are sharing so much and so many like blogs and articles about technologies. Then I reach out to them, hey, are you a Microsoft MVP yet, or are you
Mhm.
planning, or are you interested in that? And
Mhm.
then like we initiate. So it is how it goes. So maybe if you are contributing, like if you are a community person, then maybe someone will reach out to you and say like, do you want to like give a shot to this.
Mhm. That's great. That's great. Great insights. I really like that when you said that you shouldn't be contributing in all the areas. You should have a niche, right? You cannot be writing blogs and speaking for .NET, and then tomorrow you are talking about hybrid machine learning, and then Power Apps. When I think of Microsoft MVP, to me he is a go-to person for me if I'm facing any problem. If I reach out to him, he may have so many blogs or videos or maybe upcoming events where he may be talking about a particular a domain. So that's great and well said. And I really like that you when you mentioned that when you see someone really sharing good content on the internet and contributing a lot, you personally reach out to him and ask if he or she would like to become a Microsoft MVP. So that's really great. With that, Nilesh, I see you just mentioned in the beginning of the show that you moved to Canada in 2016, right? So, for instance, I'm based out of Delhi, India, and if you are based out of in Canada, so how does the nominations happen? Can someone sitting in any other part of the world can nominate it, or someone has to nominate for their from their particular region itself? Because I know their MVP leaders, the people who run this influencer program in a region wise. So, how does that thing? Can you sitting in Canada nominate anyone in Singapore or India?
I think yes, but I
Mhm.
haven't till date nominated anyone outside of Canada. So
Mhm.
I'll take that with a pinch of salt. But I'm going to soon find out.
That's great, right? That would be interesting to know,
Yeah.
right? Right, Nilesh.
And
So
also,
with
yeah, and also you mentioned about coming to Canada. So like I host the technical meetup, which is the CSharpCorner Toronto chapter, right?
Mhm.
I also host another non-technical meetup. I used to host recently, since last one year I haven't, which is the newcomer to Canada in IT software field. So those who are
Mhm.
the professional who are coming to Canada, those who are the new to Canada in IT and software. So I used to host a meetup for them as well, to guide them about like what is about Canada's job market, how to get your first job, how to prepare for interviews and everything. So those are the events also I hosted at Microsoft and Microsoft Reactor.
Wow, that's a really great initiative. I mean, people moving to Canada for the very first time, right? And then they know nothing about what's the community there, what are different user groups, what are the fellow MVPs. So I think that's a really great user group that you are running. And I see a lot of visas being sanctioned from India. People are moving a lot after this to Canada. So definitely a good place to go in and move if you want to go in and ask
Yeah,
any questions
Canada
about.
is a beautiful country, peaceful country. There are there are so many IT software opportunities here. So if you are planning, then there is nothing wrong like coming here, except you need to have a tolerance for like cold and snow. But that's part of
Yeah.
life, right? Someone moving to Canada must have accepted. Like when I moved to Canada, before that I have accepted that there is going to be snow, there is going to be like cold, so that doesn't bother me, right? It's part of like Canada, and I don't have to worry about it, or I don't have to even think about it, otherwise I'll not be able to settle here.
Yep, yep, exactly. And this may be a little challenging for people from the Asia Pacific, where we have only two seasons, either it's summer or winter, or
Yeah,
15 days of rains. That's
yeah,
it. There's no spring, autumn.
yeah.
we don't we don't really see that. So yeah, Canada is a beautiful place. So Nilesh, when I look at your profile on different C Sharp Corner and all, you primarily focus on Office 365 development. Right, that's your niche. And I as a layman, right, I as a layman or someone who doesn't work on Microsoft technology, until now I have just heard about Office 365, which I think they have kind of renamed it, right? And when I hear Office 365, I may go ahead and talk to my friends. They may think, okay, it's a Microsoft Word or a Microsoft PowerPoint online. That's the very generic thing people would get it. So what is actually Microsoft 365, and what was Office 365?
So I have slides for that, but we
Mhm.
haven't
I'm gonna.
gone through that.
I can
So
bring that. I can bring those slides in.
okay, yeah.
All
So
right.
I'll
So there
quickly
you
go
go.
through. I have exactly slide for that, and I have
Hmm.
covered. So I'll not take much time on this. Maybe we'll have in the future another season where which is kind of more technical. But I'll be skipping through slides. There is some introduction and everything. But coming to here, this is the Microsoft 365 domain. So earlier, what we had is like we had something called Office 365, which is Word, Excel, PowerPoint, which you install on your computer and you work on it, and that's it, right? So that was the Microsoft Office kind of thing. But now uh, the it has expanded into so many areas that the word office or Office 365 is not a proper word. Now the word we should be using is the Microsoft 365. So it's a cloud based or SaaS, or what you can say is a software as a service. So that is Microsoft 365. And if you see here in on the screen, it includes the Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Access, which were originally part of it. But it includes the Outlook as well, the OneDrive where you host or where you store your files. You have the Yammer, which is like your internal portal for like sharing and everything. You have Microsoft Teams, which doesn't need any introduction, but that's for communicating and collaboration. You have the SharePoint Online, and you have OneNote as well. So all together, this is what you can say as a Microsoft 365, which is all cloud based, which is like closely integrated with Microsoft Azure. The authentication, single sign on is done through Azure AD and everything. And when you say the Microsoft 365 development, so this is why I'm suggesting anyone or someone to be or to try being a Microsoft 365 developer. The reason is the developer opportunity there are huge, right? If you, let's say, if you see all over the world, people are using Microsoft products, and particularly Microsoft 365 products, and there are 1.2 billion users who are using day in and day out, and there are 85% of the Fortune 500 companies using these Microsoft products, and there are lot many emails being generated, lot many events being hosted, the meetings being going on. There are so many files on OneDrive, all those messages and Skype calls and Teams calls and everything. So this is like a huge content being generated, and if you want to develop something which can like integrate with this content or integrate with these products, then you see your scope, its use, right? So if you want to develop something for Microsoft Teams, then like there are many people can use it. If you want to develop something using a Microsoft Graph API, which also gives you the intelligence, it's not like it tells you how many users you have into your organization, or how many emails you have on your Outlook. It also tells you that which are the frequently used documents, which are the people whom with you connect very frequently. So there is also an intelligence which is inbuilt using Microsoft Graph. So this is all thing you can take advantage of all those intelligence and all those collaboration type of things, and you can develop an application for that. So your user base or your target user base is very huge. That's why like I am suggesting someone to look into Microsoft 365 development platform. So I'll continue to the next slide, that to answer your question, that how someone can start a Microsoft 365 development. So before going or before targeting anything like Microsoft Graph or anything, I would suggest that a person should be knowing these basic skills: the REST API, what is a REST API, how to work with a REST API, how to consume, because your Microsoft Graph API and all APIs are REST based APIs. Client side development, because most of the development here happens on the client side, so you should be aware of what is a JSON, how to work with the JavaScript, TypeScript, your package managers, your skeleton generators like Human and Webpack and Gulp. Backend also you should be aware, or you should know C sharp. It's not required, but let's say if you're developing some application and you want to consume the REST API, or if you want to consume the Graph API and everything, then you should be knowing like any backend language like C Sharp or Node.js or Python or Java. Microsoft has like so many SDKs targeting different languages, so you should be able to find an SDK for your own language. OAuth for authorization, OData, that is used for the standard for communicating over the REST, OpenID Connect, again for the authentication. So when you are authenticating using Azure AD, you use the OpenID and OAuth. Uh, Microsoft Identity Platform, that it includes the Azure AD and how to deal with other Microsoft accounts like Outlook.com and everything. Azure AD B2C, which can when you are developing some application into which your client also can be part of it, so you can include third party like authentication, that is Azure AD B2C. And permission and concepts. So when you are developing an application and you want to ask for the permission, that what this application can do. Can this application delete your email? Can this application change your profile? So what this application can do, and the user has to provide the consent. It's not like I am developing some application which can do everything into Microsoft 365. It's not going to work. The very first time when you log in, or when you authorize this application, it's going to show you that this application will read your email ID, this application will read your contacts. So are you fine, and do you want to proceed? If you proceed, then only the application gets consent, and then only the development uh, the application executes. So these are the very basic skills around, like before even starting you should be knowing. And in the Microsoft 365 development, the setup, if you want to start, the most common or popular tool is Visual Studio 2019. You don't have to pay anything for it. If you go for a 2019 community edition, then it's free for like personal development and learning purpose. And when you install it, remember that you install the workload of Office development. So when you install 2019 Visual Studio, you have to choose the workload. There are different workload like Azure and Node and everything. So here you have to choose Office development. So when you go and create a new project, you will see the Office development related projects over there. uh, there is also Visual Studio Code, which is also very popular among the front end developers. Human Office Generator. So rather than you going and creating each and every individual file inside our project, you can use something like a skeleton generator, which is a Human. So you just write at the command prompt, write your office or something, and your projects are being created. So all your backend files or your dependencies, then npm package, are part of your project inside the folder, and you just modify it, and you are up and running. You'll need, of course, a Microsoft 365 account. How to get a free, I'll cover in another slides, and an Azure account maybe to play with. The last point is optional, but a Microsoft 365 developer account is highly recommended. So I'll quickly go through my slides, and I don't want to take like much time. Individual, I'll go in detail much into maybe into some future event. Uh, so if you are learning, let's say, Microsoft 365 development, and in the future if you have a good hands-on, and if you want to try for this exam, MS 600, then passing this exam will give you the badge of Microsoft 365 certified developer associated. It's a 2-star badge, and passing one exam gives you that. This is about the Microsoft exam. Any basic exam, like it's a 150, and now all the exams are happening online proctored exams. So you sitting at your home, you can give all those exams. These are the skills, 5 set of major skills covered into when you go for MS 600 exam. Identity and graph, which form the major components, and Microsoft Teams. This weightage keeps changing. When I gave the exam, the weightage was different. This is the latest weightage per skills. And there is no official presets, but I'll highly recommend you first target the MS 900, which is the fundamental exam. You don't need to pass this certification, but just go there and follow the learning path, so you are aware about the Microsoft 365 in this framework, what are the things covered and how it works, about licensing and everything is covered here. And you must be a hands-on developer. It's not like a theoretical exam, you just read it and you pass it, right? You must be a hands-on developer. You must have developed Microsoft 365 applications. And this is a suggested learning path. uh, you, if you don't know anything and if you want to start, then first you should be learning Microsoft identity, how to register an application in Azure AD, how to authenticate user, how to have the permissions, and how to ask for permissions and consent and everything. Then you learn how to do the programming with Microsoft Graph. So these are the very basic first steps. Why? Because in every other learning module you will encounter this, and you will be using Microsoft identity or graph. So later on you can go and learn how to extend your Microsoft Teams, how to do the development for SPFX, SharePoint framework, Office extension using the add-ins and all other modules. And then you may be comfortable to appear for this exam, and passing that exam gives you the 365 certified developer badge. uh, I'll skip through these slides quickly because those are the detailed skills. Don't want to go, but I had prepared those from for the presentation purpose. uh, and you should be aware about Microsoft Graph, Toolkit, and Fluent UI and everything. In the exam, it's an online proctored exam, and there are MCQ type of questions in this. There are no labs, so that's a good thing about this exam. And there may be like actual coding questions where the code is written, you have to like write or drag and drop a missing piece of code, or you may have to like organize in sequence. There are, let's say, 5 steps of programming. What step will be the first, what will be the second, like that you have to organize. So it's actually a hands-on kind of exam where you are not writing your code from scratch, but you are like helping a piece of code helping to solve the error or something like that. And this is what I do for any exam, like uh, when you are actually targeting, when you have learned it and then you are targeting, then you just register and then prepare. Otherwise, don't wait that one day you will be ready, that day will not come. Okay, so not for this exam, but for any exam, if you are targeting, just take and register it like 2 months or 3 months in whatever uh, as per your availability, and then you prepare for it. uh, uh, yeah, and this is the Microsoft 365 developer. So anyone who wants to start with Microsoft 365, they need to have. You may have a Microsoft 365 subscription from your employer or from your office, but don't use it, because this thing is going to go and maybe some program is going to go and change some actual data. So it's not recommended. Rather than go for this Microsoft 365 developer program and register for an account here, so it will give you a free developer sandbox, and it's like for 90 days you keep using, and it keeps extended. So I have one developer sandbox registered years ago, and I still keep using it. So as long as I keep using it, it keeps extending automatically. It also gives you the sample data pack, because this is important in the programming. When you are writing some code to fetch users email, fetch users events, you must have some data and you must have the users, right? So if you're brand new or blank account, then what you are going to get. So rather than you preparing some data, it gives you sample data packs, you just import, and the user and everything will be set up there. So this is highly recommended. There are some links I may be sharing later on. And I think that's it about this presentation. We can come back to you, Simon.
That was quick and great. I mean, I was looking at the different resources and the forums of Microsoft 365 while you were giving this session.
Mhm.
You covered everything. You didn't leave
Mhm.
anything for me to ask. Especially, I really love this sandbox thing, right? That gives you
Mhm.
on the fly everything. It's free and it is very nice of Microsoft that they keep on extending. So Nilesh, when I see your presentation, I realize that Microsoft 365 is beyond Word, PowerPoint, OneDrive, and Outlook and OneNote, and few new icons that I see is the SharePoint and the what was the other one?
Teams,
SharePoint.
maybe Teams
Yeah, Teams.
and
Yeah,
Yammer.
yeah, yeah. So when I see now, it is not just about using these applications as a user, but as a developer, you can also go and take the advantage of the amount of data that you are generating, right? So that helps you. Could you Nilesh help us understand with a scenario where Microsoft 365 would be useful? Because any idea, any real case scenario, you could help us with that.
So Microsoft 365, like if it is a big corporate, then
Mhm.
people must be using Microsoft 365 for communicating on day-to-day basis. They are using Teams or all other Office applications we are aware of. SharePoint also for list and hosting your document and sharing your documents. OneDrive again for your sharing your document and everything. So Microsoft 365 products are widely used, but when we
Mhm.
come to the Microsoft 365 development, here I can say how it can be useful. If you are using Teams, right, then your teams can have your integration, you have the different channels, you can have some additional tabs. So let's say you are a programming, or uh, you are working for a software development firm, right? So you have like a bugs into your Azure DevOps, or you have some approval in your Azure DevOps that can directly pop up inside your channel. Okay, and you can just see it. So that's the integration you can have. Uh, then also there is uh, something called as a push notification, right? So
Mhm.
rather than your application keeping let's say you have developed some application using Microsoft Graph API, which is like in let's say dashboard kind of thing. When it shows on once your top 5 email messages, your events for or your appointments for today, something like that. Okay, so 2 or 3 things it is showing you in a snapshot. So that page or that application doesn't have to like keep refreshing itself to check whether there is a new message or new file or something. Rather than that, we can have something called as a push notification. So we can register for that webhook over there, and as and when there is, let's say, some new email, your application gets notified that there is a new email, and you can show it immediately. So that type of thing is also possible. And using Microsoft Graph, the like the opportunity or the development scope is huge, because it
Mhm.
gives you like who are the people you are working with, right? Into, let's say, in your office or corporate hierarchy, I may be reporting to my manager, or I may be working uh, with my HR into my typical hierarchy. But let's say I'm working on a project which includes someone from the accounting department, so I am communicating with them very frequently, rather than those people whom I am part of a formal hierarchy, right? So it will give me, as and when I am interacting with them in an application, it can tell you that who are the people you are frequently communicating with, who are the document you are frequently sharing with. So whenever like you are referring to that person, it can show you or pop you up and show you that these are the documents may be useful maybe for the next meeting, kind of thing.
Wow,
So
that's great. So it looks like Microsoft 365 is very, very powerful, right? And that's a great use case. And Nilesh, even throughout your presentation, I mean, you did mention a couple of times about Microsoft Graph. So on next Thursday, we have Aisha Bach, who is a cloud advocate at Microsoft. She's going to come and talk about Microsoft Graph, right? So quickly, can you just give us an overview what Microsoft Graph is actually and where does it fit in the Microsoft 365 development?
So Microsoft Graph in a single line, if I have to say, then it's
Mm-hmm.
like one endpoint to access everything into Microsoft 365 domain. So
Mm-hmm.
earlier, what happened that Microsoft has different APIs. So whenever you want to access something through a backend, you have the APIs, right? If you want
Mm-hmm.
to access your emails, your files, or everything, those are through the REST APIs and everything. So earlier, Microsoft had different APIs for accessing Outlook. There was a different kind of APIs which was implemented by the Outlook team. There was separate API for OneDrive. Microsoft acquired few products, like Yammer
Mm-hmm.
was acquired, right, by Microsoft.
Yep.
So it has all its own APIs. So there was no standard. So Microsoft realized now to bring together everything as a part of Microsoft 365 domain, you need to have a single API which can replace all other individual APIs. So that's how Microsoft Graph API came into picture. And the name Microsoft Graph is, I don't have that screenshot. Otherwise, if you see that how you a user can access everything related to it, like the people related to them, the files, the messages, and everything. That's why the name Graph API comes into picture. So using you don't need any other endpoint, you don't need any other API. You just using Microsoft Graph API, you can derive everything related to a user, the emails and messages and OneDrive files and contacts and everything. So even using Microsoft Graph API, you can have, let's say there is a one Excel file lying on your OneDrive. If you want to modify or fetch data from it, so using
Mm-hmm.
single Microsoft Graph API calls, you can access the Excel file sitting on your OneDrive, and you can like process the data out of it.
Well, that's great. I mean, you don't have to work with so many different kind of API. That's one stop, right? Just go out there and you can go ahead and access APIs from different resources. And also definitely check out his Microsoft Graph Toolkit. I've seen people using in some demos. Definitely a great tool. It's pure built on UI and really helps you and it speed
So yeah,
ups your
so
development.
the toolkit is like Microsoft Graph API is all backend, right? It's only web
Mm-hmm.
API. There is no user interface. But when someone wants to like show something on the front end, then you need to have something like UI components. So that's why
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft came out with this the Microsoft Graph toolkit. So it's like out of the box. It works with Microsoft. You just provide the access key and you place it, and it has like 7 or 8 different components. Where you want to search on people, you just write the name and it will show the photos of people and name of people and everything like that. So it's like very popular among the UI developers,
Mm-hmm.
so that they don't have to like, otherwise the API will give the data written into the JSON format.
Yeah.
UI developer has to like interpret it and show in the proper fashion, but this toolkit will do it for you out of the box.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for guys who are not working on Microsoft Toolkit, think of it. This is a Swagger UI on steroids.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. That's a pretty amazing tool. We are running close to towards the end of the session, Nilesh. But what I really also love about your session is you also did mention about the certifications because that's very important. And I recently did Azure AI certifications, and I'm going to tell you my challenges. I'm
Mhm.
gonna tell you my challenges. I the certification, the exam was almost going to get cancelled. There are a couple of reasons. First, I had multiple screens. I have
Mhm.
7 screens with me, so which is
Mhm.
kind of not allowed. You're supposed to have only one screen, right? And I do remember in the exam emails they said that you need to have your identity, right? You need to bring your identity. Yeah, they send you a link where you have to take a picture of your identity and the room surrounding you,
Yeah.
right? So and it also said that you need to go ahead and upload your signature. So to go ahead and upload my signature, I had a piece of paper, right? I
Mhm.
had a piece of paper and I had my signature over there, and I think that's what I uploaded it. I'm not sure if I uploaded it or not, but it
Mhm.
said in the email. And when there was the proctor came in and she saw my room, she said, "I may have to cancel your exam because you have a piece of paper lying over there." So luckily, she was very nice. I took the paper and I just kept it out, and then I was able to give the exam,
Mhm.
and I just passed it. So, Nilesh, I also saw in your profile is that you have done some of the certifications. How has your learning been, and how important or how impactful certifications are for an individual developer?
Certifications are very important, I would say, and it gives you edge over others, right? When it's in the
Mm-hmm.
hiring process or like in any scenario, if you see certification is not only based on certification you will get something, but it, let's say there are 10 people standing in the queue and all have the same qualification or something, and it's like decision process, and someone has to like find out like who is the one you want to go with. Then if you have certification, then it's helpful. Of course, it should be like compounded with your practical knowledge and your actually hands-on experience and everything. But let's say consider a person working on, let's say, Azure development for last 3 years. Okay, that can consider person one and person two. Both of them are hands-on working on Azure development. One has the certification, another does not. Okay, so then whom as a hiring manager or as a recruiter, whom you are going to choose? Of course, the person with the certification, right? And also there is something else I tell you. When you may be under impression that I know everything about Azure development, but when you see and when you prepare for this exam, you know there are like hundreds of things and you know only 20 or 30%,
Yeah.
right? So how and when you are going to learn, right? Everyone is doing 9 to 5 job, they are busy into what the client wants or what is the requirement of the project, right? But how you are going to learn something else, how you are going to learn something new, right? So it's only through the development or only through preparing for exam and everything. And there is something else I can tell you as well. There are few exams which Microsoft launches in the beta. So there are like live exams which you appear for that exam. At the end of exam, it tells you whether you pass or fail. But there are few exams which Microsoft gives in the beta as well, which are new and upcoming exams. So I also give many exams like that, and the result appear comes after 2 or 3 months when the exam is live. I
Oh.
recently last week also gave one exam. Earlier gave this, even this MS 300, sorry, MS 600 developer exam I gave in the beta phase. Right. So the advantage is it's like very cheap. First of all, like around $25 or something you have to spend. It's very cheap compared to like $165 for a full exam. And but there is also disadvantage that there are no resources for preparation. Right. So you must be like hands on, or you must be knowing what is the part of this exam, then you can go. So like many exams I'm appearing for it. I'm failing also many exams. Like last year I failed is a 204 developer exam, the DP database exam, database engineer exam. So many exams I fail. So like it's part of the process, learning process, right? You have to challenge yourself and learn some new skills.
That's so great of you, Nilesh, that you did bring up that you failed in the exams, right? That's I don't think many people would like to go ahead and tell it, but that's really nice to hear that you failed. You cannot be perfect in every case scenarios. And you definitely mentioned that things are changing at such a rapid pace. Azure is coming with new products, new updates. I would say every other day you may not know what is changing. So when you go ahead and prepare for an exam, you actually have to go through the entire documentation, maybe their learn series, their forums. So you actually go ahead and hit refresh. Yeah, hit refresh your skills. So definitely that helps you to differentiate yourself from the others. And everyone needs an easy process. For an HR, it's very challenging to pick people, right? So if they have a criteria that hey, this one has a certification, so it's kind of easy for them. So that's definitely makes sense. What else, Nilesh? I think we are at 50 minutes, right? We are
Mhm.
already 5 minutes above the live
Mhm.
show. So before we go and wrap, anything you want to add or anything you want to say, anything like final words?
Yeah, coming days, I'm planning to host more events like this, and
Mhm.
part of the CSARP Toronto chapter as well. It has been
Mhm.
like since last sometime because of the COVID. It has been like I am not able to host many events compared to like what I
Mhm.
used to host. Earlier I used to host lot many events, but not recently. So I want to like kickstart and everything, and maybe hopefully we are everything is open and we are back to like the usual phase of working from the offices instead of home and everything, and we'll be having we'll see more events coming.
Yeah, that's great. And if any possible, we would love to live stream that event too, so that sitting back here in India, we can watch how things are going on in Canada. That would be great too. And before I let you go, Nilesh, there's one final question that I have from you. Apart from all the technical questions and MVP that I've asked, this is not going to be the usual one. And let me ask you, Nilesh, you are such an experienced person. You work on these technologies, right? You are a guru to many people. But what do you do apart from all this? What are your hobbies? Do you like to play? Do you sing? What do you do in your free time?
So I like reading.
Mhm.
I like reading, and I like watch movies. So being part of Canada, like it's like 9 months cold outside. So
Mhm.
most of the things what you can do
I
is
cannot live there, Nilesh. Nine
most
months
of the
cold
things you
doesn't
can do
make sense to me.
most of the things you can do is like indoor events. And yeah, so that's what I would like to do. There are like libraries here I like to go. That apart from that, I have two little ones. I have two
Mhm.
daughters. I want to like I like to spend time with them and like help them with their maybe study and everything.
Yeah, that's great. Spend time with your family. I think this is the best thing that has happened. Like blessing in disguise. Everyone is spending time with their family. Life is beyond just weekends. So spend time with your family. Work from home. It's great. And thank you, Nilesh, for an incredible session. I just cannot feel that all 15 minutes passed so quickly.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed hosting you. Some of the great resources that you have shared and insights. I'm 100% sure people who are watching now and people who will watch the archived session, they'll definitely take the benefit from it. We are missing you here in India. Let me tell you that, and we would love to bring you back in the CSharpCon and Developer Conference whenever it happens. And if not, then I'll fly to Canada
All
when
right.
it is summer. I'm not coming in winters. So thank you so much, Nilesh. Thank you so much,
Thanks.
and
Thanks for
have a
hosting.
good day. And yeah, thank you.
Thanks for hosting. See you later. Bye.
All right, thank you, everyone. Bye. See you next week.
Bye.